and welcome to an all-new Eye of the Tiger. I'm Gigi Pagel.
And I'm Colin Wright.
Student emails have been locked down by the RGUHSD Technology Services, restricting these emails only to those within the district. Although this may be temporary, according to an email from Tony Ham, it'll be unclear or when the restrictions will be lifted.
Thanks, guys. I'm Emma Watson, here outside of the Technology Services building. On February 2nd, another set of malicious spam emails were sent to some of the RGUHSD student population. In response, the RGUHSD Technology Services have shut down students' ability to email outside of their district. In districts like RCSD and other local education agencies, limitations like this have already been put in place to protect students from spam emails. However, many high school students are dependent on their ability to email outside of Roseville, such as senior Amelia Fritz.
It's kind of an issue now that we aren't allowed to email outside of our district because a lot of the people I email for Key Club, it's outside of our district, which makes it really hard to do any organization of events. I also can't email a lot of my friends that I had, and I can't email myself images anymore from my phone. It makes it really complicated.
Normally I'm monitoring the email transactions that go on to make sure everything is safe and consistent and nothing weird's going on, but it's just really difficult to do a project at this caliber without the use of mentors or communicating with anybody in the outside world.
According to the Director of Technology Services, Tony Ham, a few exceptions to these restrictions have been added. Sources like College Board and other EDU accounts will be made available to students, but a full list of exceptions will be made available later.
In other news, last weekend was Casaba. Your 2022 Casaba King and Queen are Sergio Ventus and Marissa Jordan. Now we go over to Jackson Hooker with sports.
Good morning and welcome to this Tuesday's edition of EOTSN. I'm Jackson Hooker. Last Friday was the Casaba game and senior night for boys basketball, causing a sold-out crowd and a massive spectacle before the game. The Casaba Queen and King were crowned, and then right after it was followed by the senior night festivities. That created an amazing atmosphere for the game. And once the game began, the Tigers never looked back, crushing Yuba City 91-56. Senior Nick Primavera had the senior night to remember, putting up 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists, which landed him EOTSN Player of the Week. But more on that later.
Nick had quite a bit of and ones. A lot of made shots. The Nick floater was on point.
There was also some late-game heroics by senior Wade Tamblin, who enabled Wade time by hitting a huge three, sending the Tiger Cage into a frenzy.
The crowd was a huge factor in our win. We sold out the gym. It was insanely loud in there. I wouldn't be able to focus if I was trying to shoot a free throw and I heard Backstreet Boys.
In other sports news, there are no games Tuesday, and Wednesday boys basketball is home versus Bella Vista. Thursday there isn't a game, and Friday boys basketball is home against Intercom in their last regular season game of the season. And for Eye of the Tiger Player of the Week, it is senior Nick Primavera, who had a dominating performance against Yuba City, with the previously mentioned 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. And that's on your home for Roseville High School sports, top plays, breakdowns, and more. Eye of the Tiger Sports Network, EOTSN. And now we go over to entertainment.
Thanks, Jackson. The music scene has been a bit quiet since the first few weeks of January, but since then, a few memorable projects have been released. Annalie Chapa released his debut studio project, Me vs. Me. Annalie Chapa brings back a lot of the original flows that helped him jump into stardom. He brings it back with the first track being Shot of Flow 6, which is the 6th installment of his Shot of Flow series that initially blew him up. The album Me vs. Me represents Annalie Chapa's internal identity crisis that he has been publicly going back and forth with. He's trying to uphold an image of positivity and peace while still sometimes falling back into his older, slightly more violent habits. This week's Under the Radar release was Young K.O.'s new album, Down for the Count, aka DFTK. The young underground artist with connections to Young Thug and his label YSL Records released an incredibly pleasing auditory experience for the listeners. The level of production for an artist with such a small amount of reach was very surprising, but a very good surprise at that. With features from artists like Gunna and Yeat, his versatility really showed through on this project. In other musical news, the late King Von's management released one of his most anticipated tracks, Don't Play That, featuring 21 Savage. After a TikTok trend was created to the original leak, it has been one of the most sought-after tracks by fans. Von's storytelling was on point as usual, and 21 Savage delivered a more than satisfactory verse. And now we go back to news.
Thanks, Nathan. One RHS senior has a job that really delivers. We go to Travis Desmond with more on the story.
There have been plenty of students in Roseville High School who have been known to do some interesting jobs on the side. One example is senior Lucy Alvarez, who works at the UPS store.
I work at the UPS store, so it's a small business. They're all individually owned. We do kind of accept stuff from the post office, but usually we do UPS shipments rather than USPS shipments.
The UPS store may not be as big as the normal post office work, but it's still pretty notable. It's not as hard as working at the actual post office.
It depends on the day. If it's a little bit slower, there's a little more room to goof off and have fun. But sometimes it can get really busy, especially during the holiday season. So we're just getting over that little, busy time. But since my friends started working there, I've actually had a lot more fun.
Alvarez believes that having a good balance between school and work is important when it comes to having an enjoyable work experience.
Having a job and balancing school can be hard, but if you're able to find the right job that works for your schedule and works with your location, if you just find the right people that you're working with, it's really not as difficult as a lot of people have it, so I'm grateful to have this job.
Message received. Thanks, Travis.
That's it for us today on Eye of the Tiger.
And remember, we're always on at eyeofthetigernews.com. See you next time.